they went to the DNC headquarters to demand a ceasefire, and because they knew some event was going to be happening. Hakeem Jeffries was one of the people there, probably the most high-ranking person there, was Hakeem Jeffries. And the DNC called the popos on the protesters because they, of course, Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats cannot be seen on video with protesters, and they're on the side of the genociders. Yes, they can go, they'll go to the rallies and give speeches. What they can't be seen is in a visual adversarial position where there's protesters yelling for ceasefire on the side of saving babies' lives, and they're on the opposite side. So they said, 911, we got some unruly workers out here. We need you to come take care of. So let me go to this video here, because this video is speaking to why they even decided to go to the DNC. So I'm going to rewind it a little bit just so she can ask, so he can make a point here, and then I'm going to let it play. So let's listen to the reason behind people had to go to the DNC, and then we'll get to the DNC footage.
And younger parts of that coalition, they're just really upset. It is hard to look at this and not be upset on some level, even when you accept that Hamas committed a terrorist attack, killed 1,200 people. That's horrific. Even if you accept that it is horrific that they took hostages, and that is a horrible thing to do in any regard. You don't know where your loved ones are. That's horrific. Still, when you have over 10,000 people killed in 1 month of war, it is unconscionable. There's no other way to think about that. I've heard people say, well, when you're attacked in a terrorist attack, you can't tell that country what to do. You couldn't tell the U.S. not to go into Afghanistan. Even there, the comparison doesn't hold. The Afghan war, I think there were almost 50,000 civilians killed in that war over 20 years. If you average that out, that's 200 people a month. That's still horrible, but it doesn't stack up to 10,000. And maybe you can say that in the beginning of a war, there were more civilians killed than at the end. Whatever you want to say. You can say that Hamas may be inflating the numbers a little bit. I take that your point. Still, the numbers are incredible. And when you understand that more than half of those, at least by the reports, are women and children, how do you deal with that? And I think a lot of people, particularly young people, are looking at that and saying, this is not a moral thing. This is immoral, and I have to take a stand. And that is a problem for Joe Biden, because those would be his voters.
What's kind of sort of jarring, Michael Beschloss, is that Joe Biden's brand has been built on empathy. And this is one of those places where his empathy has seemed to fail him, the way he's communicated about this, particularly since there are, the images that we're seeing are so horrific, and so many of them involve children. I mean, the images of those infants in that incubator where they're all just trying to warm each other because the incubators don't work anymore. It's hard to watch. And it has broken Joe Biden from a part of his base that had kind of forgiven him for some other things that they wanted him to do that he didn't do.
I'm amazed that they're having this segment. I'm amazed that they're talking openly about it. But the guy the four guests, not Joanne, of the four guests, the bottom right, the guy with the hair toupee, the bad hair toupee, the historian, which I'm now starting to believe when they say historian, it really just means like a person who has reached a status of enough influence where they can get on television and give their influence, and or they're connected to some intelligence. But wait till he's going to be the one that brings this conversation back. Oh, guys, there is still Trump on the other side. So even though they're saying, I'm kind of surprised here, he is the one that's going to bring this conversation back.
Historically, it does. I don't know. Where do you think that this places him? Because where he stood vis-a-vis Ukraine and where he stands vis-a-vis Israel and Hamas feels so completely different. It's like two different presidents are running for re-election.
Well, the numbers would suggest that this is a division among Biden voters and Democrats that from his point of view, he's going to have to resolve between now and less than a year from this month. So that is absolutely true. I would totally underline what Charles said, and that is as much as people may be rightfully disturbed by a lot of the things that they are seeing, the overwhelming question is probably going to be, are Americans going to vote for Joe Biden, who with all of his flaws, loves democracy, wants to preserve our system, or for Donald Trump, who'd like to bring all of this down, end the rule of law, as he said?
I just can't believe, I'm going to replay what he says. I can't believe they're still using this. I cannot believe they're still using this. And the reason I stopped it is because what I said about his hair, his bad toupee, I remember I was listening to something and I was listening to the Candace Owens interview for Tucker Carlson, and they were saying, yeah, it's just ad hominem attacks. I'm like, working class people are not against ad hominem attacks. Actually, we use them quite frequently. Being against ad hominem attacks is a civility politics argument. Being against only ad hominem attacks, I'm with you. Like, have some substance. That's what RBN's gonna do. We're gonna call out your toupee, but then we're gonna point out 5 or 6 facts also. So we do both, but saying that, no ad hominem attacks at all, I'm completely against that. That's not how the working class operates. That's a complete professional managerial class of civility politics play. Let's get back to the video, because this guy is trying to say we have to pick between genocide and democracy. Isn't that what he's trying to make us decide between? He's saying Joyanne Reed and the guy, I think his name is Charles Blow. Yeah, on the video it says Charles Blow. I think his name is Charles Blow, the black gentleman. They come in and say, yeah, this is kind of crazy. Even she is saying things that's making me say, wow, I'm surprised this is on MSNBC. But then he comes in and says, yeah. There, he's down with a little genocide, but we got the end of democracy on the other end. So is what the ruling class trying to set up, that we are supposed to make a choice, the lesser of two evils of genocide and ending democracy? You notice when my voice go up? That's supposed to indicate it's a stand-up bit. But yeah, black people, when they get real, like, I can't even believe this, our voice go up in democracy. But yes, that's the choice that we're being I guess that is the lesser of two evil dynamic that's being set up here. And my question would be, well, let me let him say it again and finish, and then I'll ask the question that I would ask. So let me go back here. All right, right here.
Vision among Biden voters and Democrats that from his point of view, he's going to have to resolve between now and less than a year from this month. So that is absolutely true. I would totally underline what Charles said, and that is as much as people may be rightfully disturbed by a lot of the things that they are seeing, the overwhelming question is probably going to be, are Americans going to vote for Joe Biden, who with all of his flaws, loves democracy, wants to preserve our system, or for Donald Trump, who'd like to bring all of this down, end the rule of law, as he said, stop the Constitution, usher in what amounts to a military dictatorship? And if I could bring in another thing.
He ushers in a military dictatorship. People are against the Ukraine war, but it still goes on. People are against funding of Israel. Check the numbers now, but it still goes on. And he's trying to act like Donald Trump is the one ushering in military dictatorship. We already have that via dictatorship of capital. But when we're asked the question, when we're asked to decide between the lesser of two evils, we have to examine the two to see what's the two evils that we're talking about. So losing democracy in the United States. So we're losing democracy and it's something we want to save. We have to analyze, well, what do we get in this democracy? What's actually happening? What is the structure? What is the points? What is the traits? That's a better way. Characteristics of this democracy. A democracy that suppresses wages, where the federal minimum wage is under $8, when the federal minimum wage, if it kept up with inflation, will be in the late 30s, 30 some odd dollars. So a democracy that suppresses wages, so workers have to work paycheck to paycheck and still don't even make ends meet, that democracy, and this same democracy funds a genocide, the same genocide that's on the other side of the lesser of two evils. So that same democracy is funding the other thing of the lesser of two evils. Do you understand? If we vote Joe Biden, when I hit the table, I have a short in this mic. I got to stop hitting the table. So it stops and it stops everything. Anyway, let me get back to the video. But the point that I was making is that what democracy are we trying to save? A democracy that has a homeless population going up? A democracy that sees inflation and no relief from its government? A democracy that spends $1 trillion on military weapons and war, killing abroad everywhere? A democracy that starves people in Afghanistan? A democracy that uses its military, allowing its own citizens to die in combat and be maimed, go through PTSD in order to steal resources from other continents and countries? What are we saving? That sounds like a democracy that needs to die a slow, torturous death to me. So I reject this. Let me let him finish out what he says. And then the next person who talks about how this is damaging both Joe Biden, listen to what she says next.
You know, beyond what we've been talking about tonight, you were talking, Joy, about, you know, what is the effect of what we're seeing today on domestic politics. Other leaders in other countries, especially those who hate us, know that they can do a lot to elect the president they want by initiating or exacerbating international events. Take 1980. Jimmy Carter was president. He was dealing with double-digit inflation, but more than that, he was dealing with a superpower confrontation in Afghanistan and an Iran hostage crisis. Without those two and maybe those three things, Carter would have won. Ever since then, a country that wishes us ill can say, you know, let's resolve the American election. And I'm not talking about the Middle East here. I'm talking about the possibility of an invasion of Taiwan or something that we are not expecting. You know, let's have an international event that reshuffles the cards. So all I'm saying is that for us to predict the world we're going to be dealing with a year from now is probably, for at least me, a fool's errand.
It is difficult, Helene. I mean, it seems that it's sort of everything everywhere all at once, like the title of that film.
Listen to this next
and the Middle
guest.
East crisis has bedeviled every single president since the 1960s. And so Biden is in a particularly difficult place. But how unprecedented is it for you as a journalist who's covered this sort of international community for there to be this much open dissent and public dissent for an American president during a crisis like this? Because on this Israel issue, I don't know that I've ever seen this much internal dissent that's made public.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think one of the issues that makes this so extraordinary is you mentioned earlier that Arab Americans and a lot of young African Americans were very angry at President Biden over this. It's not just them. I have so many Jewish friends who are talking about how their kids are out protesting on behalf of Palestinians. I think it's a very young. So many young college. You see the kind of the crises we're having at these college campuses, and you see so many of these kids who are just starting to vote, who are pissed off about this. And he's also but President Biden is in quite a fix because he's also getting stuff from the pro-Israel crowd, and he's afraid of alienating the people at AIPAC. We were talking about this in the New York Times newsroom just the other day about it almost feels as if for Biden to save his presidency, he's going to have to figure out a way to bring peace to the Israelis. He's going to have to actually solve.
So the little minuscule crumbs that Joe Biden and the Joe Biden administration and Democratic Party sort of virtue signals about Palestinians, the 4-hour humanitarian break, that bullshit. That little bit of crumbs is getting them backlash from the pro-Israeli Democrats and the pro-Israeli lobby. And if you watch Fox News, for example, and maybe we'll play a clip, they're critiquing Joe Biden. When he came out with the anti-Islam, when Kamala Harris introduced that anti-Islamophobic coalition, I don't know what she calls it, they were destroying him over there on Fox News. So just as this guest is pointing out, he's getting it every which way from all sides, apparently, on this. So now what I want to do is probably go to Twitter first. Let's go to Twitter. Let's go here. This was the first one I saw. And it says, at DNC, this is Chuck Modi filming this himself. This is him there. Capitol Police attacking protesters and throwing protesters down the stairs. This is one of the videos that has reached. This is the one video that plays the most on corporate media. So we're going to start with this one. Then I'll scroll down. It's a thread to some of the other ones. So here is one of the videos. It's about 44 seconds.
Oh shit! Someone just got thrown. People getting thrown down the stairs. People getting thrown down the stairs. Yo.
This is chaos. Wow. So I'm gonna let it play again because I'm gonna turn the sound off on it so I can speak over it. But this is insane. I don't know how they're describing this as protesters being the crazy, unruly ones, but that they actually do using the same footage. But we have the ability to pause here, and these protesters are holding each other. They're locked arms. And the police are trying to pull them apart. That's what it appears to me in this freeze frame. Let's let it play some more. Isn't that what's happening here? How are we getting this mixed up? They do get this mixed up. I'm getting ahead of myself in the corporate media. Wait till we get to that. But this is insane. This is Chuck. Chuck is in the middle of this, boy. They threw somebody to the ground. What? Now, let's take the opportunity and examine the police here. Because you have one side who's saying, stop killing babies. And you have the other side, the DNC, who's funding the project of killing babies. Then there's a clash between those two people, the quote unquote authority, the law enforcement, the quote unquote good guys. They come in to do what? Of course, the good guys are going to chastise the people who's funding genocide, right? No, the police are used to stop the good guys, the protesters, in order to lock in the status quo for the ruling class who's supporting a genocide. So, and this is our tax money. The people who they're throwing out are you work for them. So the Capitol Police is throwing out their own bosses. And this elderly lady right here, you see now, if you can see my cursor, but on the steps here, there's a rail right here. Now, if they can walk her down like this, why can't they walk the other people down like that? So you mean you have the capacity and the ability to treat humans like humans? and you just choose not to. So let's play another video and get through some of these videos. Chuck again on the scene, and then here is another one. I mean, even Nina Turner, and I've been retweeting Nina Turner with some of her base tweets. She is even calling this out as the DNC is some bullshit. But let's listen to this. Now, you saw who reached in and did that. Let me replay it now. So one side is the police and the other side is the protesters, the anti-genocide protesters, right? You got all these police up front. Look who has to jump his ass to the front. Look at this Negro. Had to be the house Negro. Always want to do the most. Why the hell can't he just hold up a Palestinian flag? There's always the black cop who got to show everybody, I'm just like you guys. Look at my brutality. So are they doing something illegal, or is holding a flag the illegal part? Or are these people trained by the IDF? So it's just a natural reaction for them to snatch Palestinian flags. It's sort of enraging to watch some of this footage. Hey, what are you taking a flag for? What is that? I'm trying to create a calmer demeanor. So let me calm down a little bit. But to continue with some of the video I was looking for, and then I'll show some more video here. But Nina Turner chimes in on that thread with Chuck Modi, and she says the DNC is responsible for the police being there. They did not just show up on their own. Again, an absolute disgrace. So I give shout out and kudos to Nina Turner for calling this out and saying it in very direct terms here. But look, people getting mad at her about it. Yeah, so Nina Turner calls out the DNC, and then all the cowbell DNC supporters, all the vote blue no matter who, come out and troll her, as you can see in some of these. Missed her best shot at getting into the DNC tonight. I'd be mad too. This one, Nina, you will never be a congresswoman. This one, Nina's mad they didn't offer her a donut. Nina, good Lord, here comes Nina Turner to pat the DNC pro-Hamas roses on the back for trying to breach the DNC building and assaulting 6 Capitol Police officers. Assaulting. We all saw the video. But let's get through some more footage here. Let's listen to this one, and I'll read the caption. Here goes some of the people on the ground at this protest. Okay, and this is before it was broken up. It said, I worked to elect Joe Biden. On our first interview, got cut off by the police violence at the DNC. If there is any message President Biden and DNC members may want to listen to from their base, this is the one. So Chuck is saying, this is your voting base. This is the base that comes out to help you get elected. This is what they're saying on the ground at this protest in front of the DNC.
So it's a little calmer now. And what is your reflection about an hour and a half later?
Look, like, I worked for.
So I misspoke. I had a different understanding. I thought this was before the protest, before the scuffle that happened between the Capitol Police and the protesters. But this is after, as you heard in the video. So just to correct myself.
This party, I worked to elect Joe Biden and Mark Kelly in Arizona in 2020 because I am terrified of Donald Trump and I'm terrified of the white nationalist movement he represents. And I thought that the alternative was that the Democratic Party is on the side of life and values human lives as equal. And all we were doing as a group of Jews and Palestinians and a multiracial, multi-faith movement was to say that we don't want more war and that Palestinian lives and Israeli lives are equally valuable, and that no more people, no more children, no one should have to die, that we want to prevent a broader regional escalation right now. And all we want is a ceasefire, a de-escalation. We want the hostages returned, all of the hostages, everyone for everyone. And we need to address the root causes of occupation, apartheid, and siege that have led our loved ones in the region into this nightmare. And we just came to tell Democrats that 80% of their base, 80% of the Democratic base wants a ceasefire. And we came as that base. We came as the people who are normally vote for them. We helped elect them. I worked for them. And instead, we were greeted with tear gas. Cops were shoving people with their bicycles. They were trampling on the candles that we had brought for the vigil because we care about human life. Is this how the Democratic Party is treating its base? Is this how you are treating the people who espouse the democratic values of peace and justice and are calling for an end to war and to treat all lives as sacred? There are police here in riot gear. I just saw someone come over with a giant machine gun. There are around 70 cop cars here. This is your response? Is to meet our ask for peace, our demand for ceasefire, for safety and freedom for everyone with violence? Is that how you think you're going to win in 2024? Because as someone who has worked for this party, I have news for you. We care about human life. And if you prove to us you don't, I don't know how I'm going to mobilize tons of young people, tons of your base out for you when you refuse to call to end this horrific war before more lives are lost. So we ask you for the courage to call for a ceasefire now.
Thank you so much.
So as in that first video that I showed of MSNBC and Joyanne Reid and Charles Blow, I think that's his name, that's the base that the what they were talking about in that segment. That's she's one of them. That young lady is one of the people that they're talking about, that they believe this. Now, Charles Blow described it like how he was describing the young people who believe in this fight for Palestinians. They really they're dug in. They're really angry. And you heard it in her voice. She's really angry. But if she was a diehard vote blue no matter who, and it sounds like she still is, because she didn't say, I don't know if I'm going to come out in November. She said, I don't know how I'm going to convince other people. So she's obviously still in the vote blue no matter who camp. I'm just going off what she stated. Now, if I'm made to be corrected, then I would happily be corrected by that if she's not going to support them. So, but let's go to some more video. How did he have this set up here? This is her again talking. So so apparently this is the video that is saying was interrupted. So he was going to interview and it was interrupted with it happening right at the time. So let's listen to her again.
We're outside the DNC. We're outside the Democratic Party headquarters because this party claims to be on the side of life and peace and equality. And we're saying that we want them to live up to their values and oppose this horrific war and call for a ceasefire now. And we're being responded to by the police shoving anti-war activists down the stairs, shoving peaceful protesters back with their bikes. And because our party that 80% of us want a ceasefire, would rather beat up protesters.
Yep.
Hold on. Should we continue? One second.
What?
Oh, shit.
We're outside the DNC.
So I played it out of order. I played the other. So this happened, and then the video I already played. He said, "Okay, now that everything is settled, he got the interview, and then we
brutally attacked by Capitol Police somehow, some way. January.
Here is Afeni, former RBN member, at the protest, and she's giving her breakdown of what happened also at the protest. So here is Afeni here.
We were just brutally attacked by Capitol Police Somehow, some way, January 6th, they did not do their fucking jobs, but today they can do it. Today they can do it when it's black and brown people, when it's marginalized groups, somehow, some way, they find the motherfucking
They
strength
figure it out.
to fucking shove people down on and fucking tear gas us. Peaceful fucking protesters. We are peaceful fucking protesters. At the end of the day, you see what the fuck they're doing. You see what the fuck they're doing. We are out here because there are 11,000 and counting Palestinian people that have been slaughtered by the Zionist regime that is Israel. We are out here because we are fucking tired of our fucking tax dollars going to kill children in another fucking country. That is why we are out here. And these fucking bitch ass pigs are part of the goddamn problem. Because these are the same motherfuckers that go over there and train with the fucking IDF. And look at them. Look at the way they fucking act. This is the militarized fucking police force. This is the shit that we deal with in America. Now just fucking imagine what those children and those men and those women and those fucking grandparents in Gaza are experiencing right now.
This is not gonna end well for Israel. And like I said, and that's Afeni doing Afeni. There's nothing else. This is, I mean, her podcast was called Fire, had the name Fire, and this is what she does. But the passion you hear in Afeni's voice, the passion you see in the protesters, this DNC is betting that that's just going to subside in a few months, and you guys will come back to the DNC. That you guys will just sell out the dead Palestinian kids and babies and women and men. You're just going to sell them out in a few months anyway. And I'm just not getting that feeling. You can hear it in Afeni's voice. It feels like to me, and I know this is something that fuels me, part of what fuels me, not just aside from just humanity, is that there's a lot of Black people, Afeni, like Ajamu, like Nick, like me, RBN, who feel like this, like we want to respond to what's happening to Palestinians the same way we would have liked people to respond to what was happening to our ancestors. Because I absolutely feel like this is today's slavery. So just so roll with me. If you go back to pre-1864 United States, and you always ask your question, man, how did legalized slavery actually happen here? How did the people who weren't in government let it happen? We're seeing it right now. Got protesters coming up. Hey, we need to end slavery. We need to abolish slavery. Look what is happening. Look what it's creating. And the Democratic Party, who's claiming they want to be abolish slavery, is calling the police because you're funding a slave owner. So again, I hope this radicalizes and wakes up.
We were just brutally attacked by Capitol Police.
More people, especially people that would be inclined to vote for the Democratic Party, because we are already radicalized. Afeni is already radicalized. Okay. Let's listen to this one here. Let's listen.
DNC demanding that they have a ceasefire. We were peacefully protesting. We were talking. Stand with 80% of Americans who need a ceasefire for the people of Gaza. The police have come, just threw me down the steps. I don't have a shoe on right now. They pepper sprayed us. They've been wrestling with us.
We're doing shit right behind you right now.
We are demanding a ceasefire for the people of Gaza. And this is how they treat us. The violence is going on. The training of the police and the
You can see one officer here. I think he's having an epiphany. Like, am I on the fucking right side here? This guy, can you see my cursor? So right to the right of her ear, you see her beanie right under the light that's shining. The shorter guy right here at the fence with his hand on. If you can, try to zero in on his face. And to me, it's almost like a realization. What the fuck? I'm removing the people who want people to stop killing people. Look at his face. See if you could get his face as she's talking. Listen to what she's saying, but look at his face also.
We are demanding a ceasefire for the people of Gaza. And this is how they treat us.
He is coming to. He's like,
the
what the
violence
fuck?
that is going on. The training of the police and the IDF is handed in. We
Look
are
at him.
peacefully protesting.
He's
Hundreds
in
of people
shock.
out of the streets. And this is how they treat us.
Let Gaza live! Let Gaza live! Let Gaza live! Let Gaza live!
See, another black cop got to
We are
show out.
outside of
That was the same black cop that took that flag, I think. Just ridiculous. So let's start here with this one, and we'll just kind of play the different videos here. So let's go to this one.
Truly penetrate your consciousness. To all those in power, I say, Ner Adonai Nishmat Adam Chofesh Kol Hadre Vaten. Let the light of these sacred souls illuminate the innermost chambers of your heart, your guts, your soul. When you truly take in this violence, you will join us in calling for a ceasefire now. It is the first urgent step in the path to a lasting, just peace. There will always be a place at our table for those who join us in peace. Join us for ceasefire now.
And in one of the videos, somebody or the young lady said they stomped all over. These are the candles that they were referring to. So this is in an order that I think I have found. So let's continue here. This is some of the protest or the march. This looks pretty peaceful to me.
Ceasefire now. 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 Ceasefire.
Yeah. Let's get through the sake of time. Let's get through some of these here. And then he goes here. Capitol Police hugging relatively small rally of mostly Jewish protesters like a post George Floyd rally. So let's listen or watch this one here.
Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now.
All right. I got an order here now. So it's a close-up of that guy's face here. Let's see. That's a fiend. That's a fiend. Did you see a Feeny right there? Did you see her? Oh man.
Get back, guys.
He don't know what he's like. God damn it. He's like, that guy is realizing he's on the wrong side. He's protecting the wrong side.
It's a violent motherfucker. I can shut my cameras off.
Who's causing this violence? Isn't that the police pushing them?
Hey.
Here's another one here we have not played.
Who do you protect? Who do you serve? Who do you protect? Who do you serve? Who do you protect? Who do you serve? Who do you serve? Who do you
Calling out the pig.
Who do you serve? Who do you protect? Who do you serve? Who do you protect? Who do you serve?
They serve capital and they protect capitalists. Jason Bagshaw is out here. He's a known. All the activists in the area know this guy and they hate his guts. and he's just saying the guy is out here. So
Oh, we're down here. Just making sure everyone's safe down here.
Okay. If you could do anything, try to call it because it's ridiculous. There's gonna be a lot of lawsuits.
anyway, it's not more informational than that. It's just that's the guy. This one has more views, so let's play this one here.
Decided that we wanted to choose the freedom side, that 80% of Democrats are saying that we want a ceasefire now. And all of these people, these hundreds of people gathered together because they wanted our leaders to know that we are the constituents that are demanding for a ceasefire. We are the ones that are saying we need to stop arming Gaza now. We are the ones that are saying that they are responsible for people over politics. That's what our party said. And we want to make sure that they stay true to that. So we came here today to remind them.
And why aren't they listening?
Well, I think they're not listening because people are scared. I think people are fearful. I think that people have used words like anti-Semitism. People have used words like Islamophobia in the ways that they should not be used. Because the beautiful thing about today is that I stood as a Christian minister. Our colleagues stood as an imam, and our rabbis are all here together saying that all of our traditions, no matter what you disagree on, agree on the fact that life is precious. And the three of us have decided that as faith leaders. But as you can see, this is multiracial, this is multi-generational, this is multi-ethnic. We are all here to say that Palestinian lives matter, that Israeli lives matter, and that the 12,400 people who have died matter to us, and we don't want any more.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
I just want to say that if I've been scared to get involved, there are so many ways for you to say what you feel and to participate with us. Nobody's child should have to die. And we believe that. And there are so many people who will believe that with you. Ceasefire now.
Thank you so much.